Hello and welcome back to the deep dive. Before we really get the engine running, hit like if you're like our contents.
It really does help the algorithm. And frankly, today's topic is something that needs to be circulated.
Yeah.
Just because of the sheer volume of vehicles we're talking about.
We aren't talking about some niche sports car or, a limited run of EVs here. We are looking at the Hyundai Palisade.
Right.
And not just a few of them. We're talking about 568,576 vehicles.
Wow.
That is over 500,000 SUVs.
Which, if you follow the sales figures for Hyundai, is basically the vast majority of Palisades on the road.
Exactly. We're looking at model years 2020 all the way through 2025.
The entire life cycle.
The entire life cycle of the current generation. And we're not talking about a glitchy infotainment screen or like a peeling steering wheel button. This is a primary safety system failure.
Right. We're discussing the third row side curtain airbags.
The third row.
And specifically, a failure in their ability to perform their one job, their only job.
Which is?
Keeping the passenger inside the vehicle and away from the hard pillars during a crash.
What strikes me about this recall isn't just the size of it, but the specific phrasing they use in the NHTSA documents about the defect. It's so clinical for something so terrifying.
Fail to secure the heads of third row passengers.
That's the line. Fail to secure. It sounds like you're talking about cargo, not people. Okay, so let's start with the mechanical reality here. I think most of our listeners know how a side curtain airbag works. It's that long balloon that drops from the headliner to cover the glass.
Right.
But the defect description here is it's nuanced. It doesn't say the airbag fails to deploy.
Correct. And that's a crucial distinction. In so many recalls, you see issues where the propellant is bad or maybe a sensor is corroded and the bag just doesn't fire.
Right.
That's not what's happening here. The documents indicate the airbag deploys, but it fails to effectively restrain the passenger. It is entirely a math problem. When the NHTSA runs these tests, they aren't just looking at whether the bag, puffed up. They are measuring excursion.
Excursion. So how far the crash test dummy travels before it stalks.
Exactly. You have a dummy in the third row. The impact happens.
Yeah.
And the laws of physics dictate that the dummy's head is going to move toward the point of impact.
Sure.
The side curtain airbag is supposed to act like a wall or maybe a catcher's mitt that intercepts the head, absorbs that energy, and keeps the head within a safe zone. The documents state that the dummy exceeded the movement limit.
Which means?
It means the head traveled further than federal safety standards allow.
So if that airbag doesn't create an immediate rigid barrier?
There are a lot of hard surfaces very, very close to the passenger's temple.
This brings us to the discovery process, which I just found fascinating. This wasn't a situation where Hyundai noticed warranty claims spiking or something?
No, and that's the scary part. This was a silent failure. It was caught by a routine compliance test. The Office of Vehicle Safety Compliance buys these cars anonymously, takes them to a lab, and smashes them to see if they actually do what the manufacturer claims.
And they took a 2025 Palisade.
Put a dummy in the third row and ran the side impact test. And that's when the dummy went out of bounds. Now, look at the language in these new airbag documents.
Okay.
They explicitly state that the population of vehicles affected by this airbag failure appears to cover the same subset of Palisades involved in that seatbelt recall.
Same subset. That is not a coincidence.
In manufacturing, there are no coincidences. A subset usually refers to a specific build configuration or a specific production period. Something is linked.
But how do seatbelts and airbags even interact? Why would a seatbelt issue predict an airbag failure?
Well, they're part of the same restraint ecosystem. Think about the physics again. The seatbelt's job is to hold your torso back. The airbag's job is to catch your head.
Right.
If the seatbelt is doing its job perfectly, the airbag only needs to do X amount of work. But if the seatbelt has a little too much slack, or the pretensioner fires, say, a millisecond too late,
the body moves further forward before the airbag is ready.
Exactly. Your momentum increases. The demand on that airbag just spikes. So if the seatbelt recall last September was about, latching issues or mounting points, it's highly probable that the engineers realize, wait a minute, if the seatbelt isn't holding the dummy in the exact right spot, our airbag geometry is totally wrong.
So the airbag itself might be perfectly fine in a vacuum, but because the seatbelt system had these variances, the airbag fails the test.
Or vice versa. They might have tweaked the seatbelts to fix the September recall, and maybe that tweak changed the kinematics of the crash dummy just enough to cause this new failure.
Wow. Let's talk about the solution, because this is the part that is going to annoy a lot of our listeners. If I have a 2022 Palisade and I go to the dealer tomorrow, what happens?
Nothing happens. They will probably offer you a cup of coffee and send you home.
Because there is no fix yet.
The documents are very explicit. The remedy is currently under development.
How is that possible? They know it's broken. They know how it's broken. Why can't they just, I don't know, install a bigger airbag?
Well, think about the supply chain. We're talking about, what, 1.2 million airbags? One for the left and one for the right, for nearly 600,000 cars.
Okay.
You can't just 3D print those overnight.
Yeah.
And it's not just the manufacturing. They have to engineer the fix first.
They have to design a new bag that passes the test the old one failed?
Right. They have to re-engineer the shape or the volume or the deployment timing, and then they have to prove to the NHTSA that the new design actually works by.
Crashing more cars.
Crashing more cars. Only then can they start mass production.
So we are looking at a lag time here. Months.
I would say likely months. Logistics at this scale are just slow.
So what is the advice for the owner then? You're driving a car that the government says fails a crash test. Do you park it? Do you stop putting kids in the third row?
Well, the NHTSA hasn't issued a do not drive order. Those are really rare, usually reserved for things like wheels falling off or, potential fires.
Okay.
Now, practically speaking, very few people are going to an independent mechanic to swap out side curtain airbags on a 2024 vehicle.
It's too complex.
It's too complex, and it's usually under warranty. But maybe someone paid for a diagnostic.
Right, like if you heard a rattle in the headliner.
Exactly. You took it in, paid a diagnostic fee, and they told you everything looks fine. That might be reimbursable now that we know everything was not fine. So keep your receipts.
And for everyone else, the 99% of owners who haven't done anything yet, the action plan is simple, right?
It is. Don't wait for the letter in the mail. Just go to the NHTSA website, punch in your VIN.
We harp on this on every automotive deep dive we do, but it is the only source of truth.
This proves that a car can be considered safe in 2020, and then, upon retesting in 2025, be found lacking.
Because the car didn't change, but maybe the scrutiny did, or the test became more rigorous?
In this case, the standard didn't even change, but the enforcement caught a variance. It just highlights how incredibly tight the margins are in modern engineering. The difference between safe and recall might just be 2 inches of head movement.
2 inches.
That's it.
It really demystifies the machine,
Yeah.
We trust these cars with our lives, assuming they are these perfect, indestructible vaults. But they're just assemblies of parts that barely pass the physics test on a good day.
That's a cynical but pretty accurate way to look at it. It's also why the NHTSA exists. Without that external auditor, that, nanny state checking the homework Hyundai, might never have caught this.
They would have just kept building them this way.
For another 2 years, maybe longer. And we would have only found out after accidents statistics started looking grim.
Right.
So a recall's annoying, yes. But a recall triggered by a lab test is infinitely better than a recall triggered by body counts.
That is a very, very solid point.
If you have a Hyundai Palisade, model years 2020 through 2025, you are involved in this.
And the issue is the third row airbag failing to properly restrain passengers in a side impact crash.
The fix is still in the lab. It's coming, but you can't get it today.
And you need to check your VIN on the NHTSA site to confirm your status and also check for that related seatbelt issue.
And honestly, if you can, just keep the third row empty until that letter arrives. It's the safest thing to do.
It's a developing story, and as soon as Hyundai announces what the actual mechanical fix is, whether they're ripping out the headliners or installing new brackets, we will let you know.
We'll keep tracking it for sure.
Stay tuned for more automotive news, and goodbye.